The maid in our house is a sly old fox. I'm still waiting for the day when my naive mother finally sees that silver-furred tail sticking out from under her disguise. One time, my mother was getting ready for work, and she dropped some money on the floor while putting on her coat. I saw that small amount of money, but the cunning maid pretended to fall and sat right on top of the loose change. I was utterly shocked by the maid's shameless behavior. I was so upset. All I could do was stand there and cry. I felt like this house belonged to that sly fox, and the money my mother earned was just walking into her wallet on its own. Shortly after, the maid brought her son into my house, and they started living here as if it were their own home. What surprised me the most was the boy's attitude. He looked at me with the eyes of a king, while I was nothing more than a servant. The boy immediately sat on my favorite sofa, enjoying it as if he were on a free vacation. I was shocked and furious. As I was unsure of what to do, the maid brought my favorite food to the boy and threw a pile of cleaning tools at me. I angrily said that it wasn't my job, that my mother paid her to do that. The maid glared at me and shouted that the house is now under her management, and I should know my place. I didn't care about the dirty mess. I was focused on the boy eating snacks happily. He tossed trash on the floor despite my threatening glare. The boy ate with his head held high, and his mother pointed at the pile of trash and told me to clean it up. I had to sit and eat with two disgusting people. The boy acted arrogantly and ate heartily while I could barely swallow. I'm sure the maid used the leftover money from shopping to buy them expensive things. I will put an end to this stupidity. I was about to go to my room to call my mom. As soon as I picked up the phone, the maid stopped me. She said she had found the test with a failing grade that I had hidden. She threatened, "If you want your mother to know about this test, go ahead and speak up." I had no other choice. That night, when my mother discovered the house full of trash and the refrigerator as empty as a graveyard, she went mad. The maid falsely accused me, and I thought about the test, so I chose to stay silent. I felt the heat rising, perhaps from the firestorm coming from my mother's head as she cursed me, calling me a stupid, useless brat. But that wasn't the worst part. The next morning, I followed the maid. I liked how she pretended to be normal while doing something wrong. She went to a butcher shop, and instead of choosing the fresh, high-quality meat for $50, she picked a piece for $2. I swear that piece of meat looked like a chewed-up, tattered shoe that a dog had been gnawing on. I waited for my mother to come home and told her everything, but it was no surprise that she treated my words like air. The maid had finished cooking, and my mother's eyes lit up, not realizing that what she was about to eat was garbage. I tried to stop her, but it was pointless. I retreated to my room, only to overhear the maid telling my mother, "Meat prices have gone up. I need more money." My mother handed her the money. Once again, the maid brought her son to my house, and the boy threw trash everywhere. I lost my temper and yelled, "Get out of here. You look like an idiot." The maid angrily approached me, and as if by magic, produced a broom. I didn't want to be a witch, but that woman clearly wanted to become a baseball player. The maid grabbed the broom and hit me, but I held back and started thinking of a plan. I'm going to let them taste that cheap meat along with some laxatives. I placed the pot of delicious-smelling meat in front of them. They ate eagerly and hungrily while I stood by, waiting for the fun to begin. A little while later, both of them started having severe stomach pains. Feeling triumphant, I told them that I was the one who cooked the rotten meat. The maid, enraged, was about to hit me, but I pointed to the phone that I had placed on the highest shelf of the cupboard. I had put it there beforehand, deliberately provoking her to get hit. Of course, I had also called my mother, and by now she was probably home. Indeed, my mother arrived with the police. The maid pretended to cry and said, "Your daughter has harmed us." She's terrifying. My mother was furious, her face looking like it had just been punched. I handed the phone to the police officer, who watched the video and glared at the maid in anger. The maid begged, "Please give us another chance, we're really pitiful." But no one cared. My mother shouted, "Get out of my house." The police officer took the maid and her son away. I looked at my mother with guilt, thinking she might not forgive me for the test. Suddenly, she hugged me and said, "It's going to be okay, my dear. Never lie to me again. I won't be upset about a low score. I'll be upset if you don't trust me." I was so emotional that I burst into tears. My mother and I hugged each other, and it had been a long time since I felt this happy. Since then, we haven't hired a maid. I decided to help with the household chores so that my mother could have more time to rest.